thank you so much for your time today. So we've had, a lot of discussions on today. There's been some really interesting conversations around what barriers to trade look like, the role of the Commonwealth. What are you hoping to achieve over the next 2 days in terms of, what you're hearing from people, the connections, the networking? What's your goal for over the next 2 days?
Well, I want to first of all say thank you for this interview. I think it's a great place to be because as entrepreneurs, as business people, we're talking about the market. And when you're talking about the market, it's not about the market itself, it's about the people. And here, within the Commonwealth, we're talking about 1.4 billion people. So you can imagine the huge potential that is there to take advantage of. And of course, this is exactly why we are here, to build network, to be able to take advantage of these 1.4 billion people so we can do business and in return to make more money. Because where there are lots of people, the opportunity to do business is also great.
There's a very important role that the Commonwealth plays, right? Because we can't shy away from the fact that there's inequality, right? When we think about the Commonwealth, there's, underdevelopment in lots of the continents. Africa is one of them. And so what role does the Commonwealth play in ensuring that wealth is divided equally and that every nation gets that real chance and opportunity to grow in the way they should with the resources that they have?
Well, the very first thing I should tell you is that the Commonwealth is plus 54 countries. And because it is plus 54 countries, it's a process, which means it is true, lots of people will say there is some degree of inequality. But the inequality to me as an entrepreneur, it goes with time. There are lots of countries within the Commonwealth that have already attained an advanced level of development. On the other hand, there are lots of countries within the Commonwealth who are still there struggling. So the good thing about it is that we are together. And when we are together, we hold our hands. We are not there to say, this one is much more advanced or this one is not much more advanced. The good thing is that now we are together. And since the process of business development within the Commonwealth, it's a general objective. And the process simply means that we are moving from one step to the other. That's the definition of the process. So I think within the confines of the Commonwealth, the bigger nation, let me put it that way, and the smaller nation holding hand to hand for us to grow together. So the smaller nation, as time goes on, because the process, they will catch up. But the good thing and the good news is that we have started with this integration and we're moving forward.
Amazing, and I totally agree with you. But you mentioned some barriers to trade, right? The fact that there are some countries that are experiencing some levels of inequalities and others aren't. What do you think, as an entrepreneur yourself, would be some of the issues that have led to this? So obviously red tape, not having a conducive environment that actually allows investors to come and sort of grow the potential within these countries. What do you see as an entrepreneur? Are some of these barriers and what we could do better, especially governments, or ensuring that there's this real growth of public-private partnership?
Yes, it is a very important question that you've asked. If I were in a position to make a decision within the Commonwealth and the growth of countries that are within this Commonwealth network, I will first of all look at the number of persons who are involved in the business, because the representation from an individual perspective carries along lots of other people. What do I mean to say that? As an entrepreneur, I'm a single person, but the people who are directly behind me are invisible. So what do? It is important first for the Commonwealth network to facilitate the issuance of visas. I'll give you an example. An entrepreneur who's based in the UK will get a visa to go to Cameroon within 48 hours to do business. An entrepreneur who is in Cameroon will take 28 working days plus to get a visa to fly here and do business. And at times even goes to 30 days or even plus 30 days. So it is important that we facilitate the issuance of visa so that people can actually do business with time, because at the end of the day, time is money. So this is very important. Now, with the coming of the free trade alliances, it is also important that within the Commonwealth countries, they see how they can actually implement this free trade access that's actually taking place now in Africa, to see barrier to trade. But I must tell you that I'm one of those persons who believe in process. It will take time. The first thing is that these things are supposed to be tabled. The challenges are supposed to be tabled, which we are actually doing it right now. After tabling them, talking about it, which I'm sure as I'm talking to you, those who are in charge, or those who are responsible, or those who make decisions, or those who are decision makers will hear exactly what I'm actually saying, which is the communication part of it. And then now they can now sit, digest it, look at it, and now bring solutions for us to make progress. At the end of the day, we want to do business.
That's right. And access to finance is another issue. So there's been lots of talk today about sustainable finance and sustainability, and post-COVID, what the realities on the ground are. And then building back better means that you need to take sustainability, seriously. And what that looks like is very different for each country, given how COVID has impacted us. So as an entrepreneur, and also coming from a continent that is exploding with growth right now, what are some of the things that you think needs to perhaps go into the legal framework, or into financing, or into how we build back better, that takes a whole holistic approach to trade and trade liberalization, or even just ensuring that there's a free flow of trade?
Well, the very first thing I must tell you is that within the African continent, in terms of project financing, the banks have failed. The banks have behaved badly, and they continue to behave badly. Because if you look at it critically well, banks don't really do project financing. They don't actually finance projects, and it's a huge challenge. I think the measure, it is true, there's supposed to be some level of guarantees, but they need to take into consideration the environment, look at the challenges, and put them in perspective. Because if you have a gentleman who wants to set up a business, and then he needs financing with all the necessary tools and strategies and research that he has put together, he needs financing, and then you come and you're telling him or asking him to bring guarantees which are much more than exactly what he's actually asking. How do you think he's going to excel? If you look at it critically well, access to finance in Europe is easier. When you have a good marketable and bankable project, you have access to finance. But it is completely different in Africa, because the banks are just there to make profits, and they are not actually doing their job. The banks are not behaving well in Africa. So within, coming back to talk about the framework of the Commonwealth, I think that it's a huge opportunity, because when you give credits out, when you want to finance a project, you don't finance this project for free. There is a return, which means that you, the financier, you are also into business, and the person who is actually going to receive this finance is also in business. So we need to see how we can bridge this gap. We make the proposals and the different challenges less cumbersome, so that once you are requesting for financing, the process should be simple, direct, and guaranteed. And I think that within the Commonwealth network, we can do this. We can do this. It takes just a strike from the perspective of the different people who make decisions to be able to say, okay, I think it's the time, let's do it. I think those frameworks are put in place, and the process is less cumbersome, and we can do business. Because I will tell you, there are lots of opportunities in Africa. The opportunities are enormous. You understand? One thing people are beginning to understand in Africa, because Africa is referred to as a consumer continent, the perspective and the perception is changing. I must tell you the truth. Africa has done commodity trading for the past 650 years. It hasn't taken us anywhere. So So now, those of us who belong to the new generation of young African entrepreneurs, we want to be in a situation whereby we say, okay, commodity trading, you have done your time, but we put it behind us. We want to be able to do a transformation of our raw materials to finished products and compete in the international market. When we do this, what is going to happen? It means that old mother who is down there, who is actually growing cocoa or coffee beans, is assured, because I'll tell you, if you look at it critically well, you realize that the price of cocoa or coffee beans every day keeps going down. But the price of chocolate keeps going up. So if you look at the chain, you realize that within 100%, those who are actually doing the transformation are actually making 80%, while those who are actually growing these crops making just 20%. We want to flip it. We don't want to compete with giants, other companies which I don't want to make publicity. But for one, I would like to see that once this transformation is made, and we can also do our chocolate, we can look at.
So basically, value adding and diversification.
Exactly. It is going to create more work. It's going to create more jobs. It's going to create more opportunities, and everybody can have a win-win situation. Because if you look at Africa today, lots of people just come picking the raw materials and go. And that's the reason why you see these anti-sentiments growing up every day. We want to be able to transform those raw materials and create opportunities for the local population.
Yeah.
Why not do that then? I think we can do it.
I think one of the other pillars in all of this is that we haven't spoken about is, I get it, that banks are failing or have failed in their role.
Yeah, behaved badly.
But governments also hold the power to ensure that banking regulatory frameworks work for everybody, not just, Africans, but investors too. There's a role to play here. Don't you agree?
I will agree with you in part, but you know that, like Obama said some time ago, that Africa don't need strong men. What Africa needs is strong institutions. And our institutions in Africa are not yet that strong enough as compared to those in Europe and those in the United Kingdom and other first world countries. Because the issue of corruption is still there. When you go and corrupt somebody, then you know that there's going to be a blink, because the implementation of the rules and regulations, which is supposed to be general, becomes an issue. We need to rethink. We need to rebrand Africa, and I think I am one of those people who believe in the future. I don't want to look at the difficulties and the challenges of the past, because I believe we can build that better.
I agree to some extent, but thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just want to say that thank the Lord Malam for this wonderful initiative. I want to equally thank all those who are involved in the organization within the framework of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council. They are doing a great job, and I want to applaud them and encourage them to continue to do this, because I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I think it's great.
Amazing. We will see the light. Thank you.